How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday Junior to everyone, except for those people living in the future, our friends watching abroad. What's up? This is episode 12 of Two Severed Heads. And, you know, if you watch the show, if you know us personally, you know that Steve and I are huge metal fans. And metal and horror have just been intertwined for seems like forever.
Yeah.
So I thought, what a perfect show, man. Let's delve into the history of horror and metal, man. What do you think?
I think that's great because even as far back, Sabbath and everything, they always touched on the darker tones, and they were right in with all the horror, genre, I guess.
Yeah, this was a fun one for me to kind of research and pick the bands we're going to touch on. And if you have someone that you want to talk about, throw it in the comments and we'll mention it. Cause I had to downsize my notes today. Cause I was like, man, there's too many bands here. Like we gotta try and keep it to like an hour and a half, like usual. Unless we have Lou, cause Lou's awesome. And we'll give Lou all the time in the world.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, man. And then stick around. We got some news afterwards, depending on how long this takes. We got some news we could talk about. Lots of stuff in the world of horror in the last week or two. So we'll get into that. And if you saw the
sponsor,
yeah, our new sponsor. Yeah, you know what? Why wait, man? We'll throw a shout out to the sponsor right now. Have you been arrested for something that you don't even think should be illegal? Did you get caught doing something you probably would have got away with had it not been for that nosy bitch Pam next door? Or do you simply not want to go to prison because you know you're just too much of a weak, pathetic excuse for a human being to not be passed around like a beach ball at a Nickelback concert? Then you need to call Lobster Shark Attorney at Law for all your legal troubles. I mean, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. That's Lobster Shark Attorney at Law.
Lobster Shark Attorney at Law.
So yeah, thanks a lot to our sponsor, man, Lobster Shark Attorney at Law. Like huge first sponsor for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just, it's a pretty big firm from what I understand.
It definitely is.
He's not a shellfish guy. He likes to spread the wealth around.
If they can throw an ad out like that, they're bringing in the cash.
Oh, man. Good old Lobster Shark. Before we get into this, I need to talk about 2 days from now, the Welland Zombie Walk will be taking place. Biggest zombie walk in Ontario. We got live band this year. Toadstool and the Ghouls playing one night only. You're not going to want to miss this. If you're in the Niagara region, the GTA, the upper state New York area, because you can cross now with nothing. No hassle. Come out to this great event. Bring a non-perishable food item to help out our great charities, the Hope Center and Pets Alive Niagara. We got Brampton Batman's going to be there, so get your picture with him and the 89 Batmobile. We got Kit from Knight Rider coming out and playing with Toadstool and the Ghouls. A special appearance by none other than Scotty Cooper. That's right. Scotty Cooper will be sitting in with the band for a few songs, so it's going to be awesome, man. You're not going to want to miss this.
Nice. I love the name of that band.
Yeah. And we got some great bands to talk about. So let's just jump right in. Tracing the roots of, I guess, I had to basically start with shock rock, I think, because shock rock kind of started it all before it completely became horror themed, which, I mean, it was pretty much right away because we're going back to 1956 and a guy named Screaming Jay Hawkins. He had the number one hit, I Put a Spell on You, Little Demon. The guy came out with like the skull and he would rise out of a coffin. And I mean, this is an African-American man in the 50s, not just the the nature of the music, but the show he would put on and the macabre undertones, like
he kind of had that whole voodoo Louisiana shtick going on.
Yeah, man.
Like, damn, look at that. Could you imagine in the 50s seeing that?
Well, we'll get you that number, Sancho. We promise. We'll post a number at the end of the show. Yeah, and before it got really crazy again, something that really shocked people. I mean, not horror theme, but this was shocking. Like so much so that his performance on the Ed Sullivan Show, he had to be filmed from the waist up.
Yes.
Because just shaking his hips on TV in the 50s, man, like that was like, oh my God.
Elvis the pelvis.
Right. That's right. And then we get into the whole, kind of peace and love era. It was hippies, man. Everything was groovy. Everything was cool. People were singing about love. And then came the crazy world of Arthur Brown. I mean, this guy was a pioneer. He was like one of the first guys to do the face paint. Yeah, I think he was the first. His first album. What's that?
I think you're right. I think he was the first one to don like that macabre face paint.
Yeah. His first album, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, with his hit Fire, hit number 2 in the UK, 1968. Like right in the whole, peace and love movement, man. This he claimed to be the god of hellfire as he would perform with this cauldron on his head. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when I heard the song, I was like, okay, I've heard this, I definitely heard the song before. Unfortunately, we can't play any of the music because of copyrights. We can sing if you guys want singing requests. Just throw a tune and Steve Ryer or Beltero will give it our best Phil Anselmo.
I've heard the song, but until you sent me the video, I didn't know who it was. And that was like surreal. Like the mask, the helmet that was on fire, like
just it had a very almost reminded me of the Wolfman on the hilarious House of Frightenstein.
Yes,
kind of,
it's kind of that trippy beard,
but creepier.
Yeah.
And then we kind of went from Screaming Jay Hawkins to Elvis, which was shocking, not horror themed. Then we went from the crazy world of Arthur Brown to kind of people just, shocking again. Like when the Who started destroying their equipment on stage, people are like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah. I know, right? Just the raw energy of that, I think, shocked everyone.
And right around the same time and era, we had guys like Jimi Hendrix lighting his guitar on fire on stage.
Yeah.
And then out of Detroit, only out of Detroit, came a guy named Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
Oh, man.
These shows were insane. I've seen multiple documentaries on Iggy. The guy is, he's nothing if not talented. I wouldn't say musically because I'm not a huge Iggy Pop and the Stooges fan myself, but man, could the guy put on a show.
Have you seen that recent doc, the last one that was made a few years ago?
I'm pretty sure I saw the most recent one, yes.
That was really something because they had all the Stooges on there too, and man, the stories were just nuts.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, especially for that time, you know what I mean? Like, there's peace and love and everything, and then there's Iggy and the Stooges, like, just going crazy, and Iggy's cutting himself, and like, it's crazy,
intense for sure. And if you didn't think, if you thought Iggy was that's it, no one can outdo that. In the 70s, no one can outdo that. But then came along a guy called G.G. Allen.
Yeah.
This crazy motherfucker did shit that would make a billy goat puke. Like, I would not want to go to one of these shows because he'd been known for pissing on the audience, throwing his fecal matter.
Yikes.
The guy was a mess, man. If you're old enough and remember shows like Donahue and why are we freezing up? I can't seem to get rid of.
I'm amazed he didn't go on Geraldo.
Yeah, Geraldo. Sorry, I froze up a bit there. I couldn't get rid of the picture of GGL in there. Yeah, he was on all those early talk shows. The guy was an intense dude, man, for sure.
Is he still around?
He is not. No, he passed a while back. And there's actually a very recent documentary. I think it's his brother that's kind of the center of it, because Gigi's been gone for a while now, and kind of just goes over the life and times. And man, the guy was borderline insane. I mean, he had to have been for the stuff that this guy did. Like, just check it out. You won't be disappointed. Hey, Andre, you're fucked. Yes, thank you, Kurt. Thank you. And then we kind of skipped ahead there just for the shock rock value, but to get back to the whole more horror themed and the darker, there's no one that I think is credited more for being the godfathers of metal, really. Some guys from the hard city of Birmingham, England in 1968, Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, and Ozzy Osbourne got together and gave us songs like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Fairies Wear Boots, Children of the Grave.
Yeah. Man. Electric Funeral. My God. Unbelievable. And you could listen, you know what? I listened to them even recently, Drawing, and the albums still hold up. Oh my God. Music.
I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about the first time I heard Sabbath. It was that impactful on my, life and my musical path that I took. Because before that, I was, my early influences were, as a kid, you don't really, you're exposed to what your parents listened to. And
yep.
I grew up around Johnny Cash and Elvis. And, really, even then it was like, yeah, okay, but it's, this isn't my thing, definitely not my thing yet.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard them, when my folks got a new record player. So they brought the old one down to kind of in the basement where I'd hang out and play. And there was a box of 8 tracks with it. So I was going through there and I loved music. And there was Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. So I popped that into the 8-track player and it blew my mind. It was just unbelievable.
For sure. It was, I'd never heard anything like that before, and I wanted to hear more.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's most recent documentary that I watched, I really wish I hadn't watched it, because I'd been a big fan pretty much my entire life. Seen him a couple times. Actually got to see him at the casino in Niagara Falls, and kind of getting some inside stuff here, so I hope I don't get anybody in trouble. But a friend who worked there at the time snuck us in, and I actually got to watch the show from the rafters with the lighting guys.
Whoa. Which
was cool. And he did Welcome to My Nightmare in its entirety.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No one has done it better on stage with the theatrics and the horror themes and the macabre, almost a vaudevillian style of macabre.
Yeah, because
Alice Cooper.
Guillotines and gallows and everything.
And a stellar golfer, from what I'm told.
Yes, he's in the at least he was in the amateur PGA for a while.
Yeah, he went to a really prestigious school. He was like a letterman, and
that's what got him clean, right? Was golf.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, I knew he was a great golfer.
That he just kept busy and kept playing golf, and it kept him clean. Just going out and focusing on golf.
Oh, hey, that's, if you want to focus on something and really, master the sport. It's one of those things where you can have some kind of natural skill at golf, but unless you play, no matter how good you are, unless you play consistently, you're never going to be as good as you could be. It's all muscle memory, and I love the sport. I don't get to play enough.
I love golf. I'm horrible at it, but I love getting out and playing.
We actually had a golf team at East Hill, so
Really?
And I had been playing before that. A friend of mine's stepdad used to take us all the time, like when we were in like grade 7, grade 8. So I started early.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Another band that, I started out pretty big fan. I've seen them enough times, more for the show, I'd say. But just as I get older and Gene becomes more and more of a jackass, I just find myself pulling away from Kiss. But you can't deny their stage presence, their impact. I mean, these guys were on Scooby-Doo. They had their own comic books. I mean, they have their own caskets, for Christ's sakes, in which Dimebag and I think Vinny were both buried in.
Were they buried in the Kiss?
I know Dime was for sure. I'm not sure about Vinny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Dime was buried in a Kiss casket. Yeah.
Wow.
But their show, from a couple guys, one from Israel, one from New York, who started a band called Wicked Lester.
Yeah.
And then from that to Kiss, joining the Space Ace and the Cat. They played their first big show opening for Blue Oyster Cult.
That's crazy.
Right?
Like, wow.
So I worked with what's that?
Imagine that shot, like Blue Oyster Cult letting you just first show. Okay, you open for us. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I worked with this guy Ron at No Frills for years. He's got to be in his late 60s by now. But he told me that he was not big into the music, and his brother had dragged him to this concert in Buffalo at the Old Odd, and they went to go see. Oh God, now I'm going to forget who it was. Oh God. Oh, they went to go see Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh wow.
And the first band came on, and he was like, "Oh, okay, like, wow, they were something else. Like, let's go." And he's like, "No." He's like, "That was the opener. It was Kiss."
Kiss opened for Grand Funk?
Yeah.
What? When was this? Like
his 70s.
Yeah, like 73 or so.
Right.
That's crazy.
But their live show, like Gene doing the whole, filling his entire, I think, probably throat, because you can see his throat bulging. He's holding so much fake blood, or pig's blood, as the rumor was for years.
Yeah.
That people used to say, right?
Yeah, remember that back in the day? It was pig's blood and all that.
But it's something else. I mean, they definitely put on a show. They're definitely, I'd say, they're better salesmen than they are musicians.
Yes. Yeah, Paul and Gene have mastered that down to a science. Now, I've heard a rumor that when Gene and Paul are ready to retire, they want to keep Kiss going with replacements of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've heard this. They feel that Kiss is a big enough brand that they can, I mean, Destroyer has made probably a pretty decent penny, touring Canada, being the number one Kiss tribute band. So, I mean, to be the official Kiss tribute band, I mean, there's a market for it. We have enough Pink Floyd tribute bands. There's Australian Pink Floyd. There's Niagara Pink Floyd.
Yep.
So,
wow, I'm amazed Gene hasn't sent lawyers after them.
Right.
Yeah. Like, he's pretty quick to get on that if he's losing a buck.
I know, right? Now we're gonna dig into the not so mainstream stuff. My lineage, I'm Danish. My family's from Denmark. We're old fishermen and Norsemen and Vikings and all that good stuff. And Scandinavia is the home of black metal.
Oh yeah.
Some crazy bands have come out of there, and bands like Metallica and Slayer were influenced by this guy. Ting Diamond, real name King Peterson, Danish singer with a crazy voice range, including his falsetto screams, which he's known for. Like I said, influenced bands like Metallica and Slayer. And
I like how the Nordic guys always have that black and white face paint too, right? Like Euronymous with Death and everyone, like all of them have that white and black face paint.
Yeah. You mentioned Euronymous from Mayhem. We're going to get to them in a bit. Yeah, we're gonna get to them, but we got two bands before that, and this was a band I'd never heard of. Pretty interesting though. They were a punk band, kind of getting back again to the shock stuff. But the Plasmatics, do you know these guys?
I have seen them briefly on Much Music ages ago when they had the Power Hour.
Okay.
And I don't know much about them. I know she always brings out a chainsaw and like plays it like a guitar type thing, and
Yeah.
cuts crap up on stage. But yeah,
that was definitely one of the theatrics. Blowing up speakers, taking a sledgehammer to TV sets, stuff like that. Playing with her breasts on stage and crotch. Eating pieces of the drum kit.
oh,
They were something else. Yeah, Wendy O. Williams, or Wow, was the lead singer.
yeah, that's it. Okay, I was trying to pin her name, and I remember that.
Yeah, something else, man, something else. Definitely.
Even for the Power Hour, I was kind of left like, whoa,
Yeah.
what the hell was that?
For sure, man. I think I'd feel the same. Couple of months ago, we had John Philbin on. He was in a little movie called Return of the Living Dead. You might have heard of it. There was a song in that movie called Do You Want to Party? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Do You Want to Party? Yeah, I believe it was called Do You Want to Party? That song was performed by a band called Grave 45. Whoops, that's Plasmatics again. Grave 45. They were around for a few years, from 79 to 85. They recently got back together. John Philbin actually mentioned to us that he was going to see them the night after we had him on. I follow him on Instagram, so I saw some shots from the show. And the original band back together. Pretty cool. Pat Smear actually played with these guys for a little bit. Pat Smear was famous for being in the Germs. Of course, now a member of the Foo Fighters.
He was kind of the fourth member of Nirvana for a while too, when they were touring with In Vitro.
Yeah.
Wow,
And
Pat Smear was with them, eh?
Yeah, for a short time. They kind of considered themselves the founders of Christian death goth rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of their own genre. Like, I've never heard that one before.
I didn't get a chance to, other than, the song from Return of the Living Dead, which obviously I've heard a million times. I didn't get a chance to, I wanted to make sure I heard at least a few tracks from each of the bands that I didn't know that we're talking about. And I didn't get a chance to listen to anything else from them, but interesting. Christian death goth rock.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're still holding that one down by themselves.
Yeah. You mentioned Mayhem.
Yeah.
There's been documentaries about these guys. There was recently a movie. A lot of controversy surrounding these guys. Of course, Norwegian black metal band started in 1984, tied to the church burnings across Norway.
That's right. Dead killed himself.
Dead killed himself.
Euronymous took pics of it.
And used it for an album cover.
Yeah. And then they let in later on Varg. And then Varg ended up killing Euronymous.
Right.
Like, what a story, man. You don't get that with bands.
Yeah. That's and then I remember hearing stuff like he took pieces of his skull and each band member had a piece of his skull on it, like a necklace.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Because after Dead shot himself, I guess there was like fragments of his head everywhere.
Right.
And then like Euronymous went in and like gathered up chunks of his head and stuff. Like,
and took the famous picture for the album, which we're not going to show, but you can look it up after the show and you find it everywhere.
That's crazy.
But yeah, interesting story for sure. And then there was even talk of that he had killed in death and made it look like a suicide for the purposes of furthering the band, basically.
Wow.
He was a strange dude.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Yeah. And then I know probably one of your favorite bands in this whole genre and this whole list. I was young, but I got into them a little later in life. And obviously Danzig, was a little more popular when I was of that age. But
yeah.
before Danzig, Glenn Danzig was in a band called the Misfits.
Nice.
Were you a big Misfits fan?
I was. They were a big part of my youth.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before.
Yeah, they were a huge part. I used to torture my parents' ears with every album of theirs. Usually, and
I mean, is there a better name in music than Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein?
I know, right? And I love it when he posts anything because I follow him. If he like tags someone or something, he'll say his whole name too. It's not like, hey, it's Doyle. It's Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein.
We should have tried to get him for this show.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. Ah, well,
that would be awesome.
Missed opportunity. We'll have him on in a future show. Maybe we'll try. We'll try and get him.
Or even only. We should get Jerry O on here. Or something.
Yeah. The only current member, longest serving member, conveniently enough, being Jerry only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Like, only would be interesting because I've read his book, and I don't know, man. I think they say it's his life. I believe a lot of it's fiction because he seems to be miraculously in all these places that when big things happen. You know what I mean? Like,
really?
I'm amazed the ending wasn't that he created.
So he's Forrest Gump.
Yeah, basically. That's basically Only's whole life right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Come on, I gotta ask him about that.
For sure. The 80s was a weird time. So many different genres spawned out of the 80s.
Yeah, new wave, everything.
Yeah, and one guy who's, I wouldn't consider them part of the horror genre, although he is a pretty scary and intimidating dude. I've met him, seen him a bunch of times. But the sound and the aggression of Al Jorgensen and the industrial metal sound of Ministry could not be denied.
No kidding. Love Ministry.
Yeah.
Uncle?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, Uncle Al. Look at him there. Holy cow.
Yeah. Man, this is one of the few times because, like, again, you guys, you and me, we're at these cons all the time. Me and Zeus, we host these panels and we interview celebrities all the time. So it's hard for me to get starstruck.
Yeah.
When I got to meet Al Jorgensen, he was sitting in this chair like he was royalty, and just he had all the jewelry on, and he's sitting there. And I really felt like I needed to bow and like take his hand or something. Like there was some protocol that I should be following when I was in his presence.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great guy.
How was he to meet? Like, was he pretty cool?
Super cool. Very passive. Very, very laid back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought he might have been kind of an intense dude just from the music. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he probably was at one time. I met him obviously, recently. I think probably 7-8 years ago. I saw them in Toronto at the Mod Club, and I did the whole backstage thing, and got to meet the band, do the sound check. So yeah, oh my God, what a night!
That's crazy.
One guy I did see young. I was pretty young, didn't appreciate them. I wish I got to see them again, and when I had a greater appreciation for them. Unfortunately, Dave Brocky is no longer with us. Although the band lives on, Gore. I mean, what can you say about Gore? It stands for God, what awful racket.
Oh man. You know what? I love Gore. I used to love just drawing them. Like,
oh, no doubt.
Like the bass player Jibloff, Jaws of Death and all that. And oh my God. Like,
yeah, Odorous Ungress is one of the greatest characters ever created in any genre.
For sure. He's like just walked off the pages of like a D&D book.
Right? From the planet Scumdogia, these guys came to planet Earth. Their shows were legendary. The lyrics are in your face, violent, disgusting. I mean, he would wear this huge phallus on stage that may or may not have excreted at one point during the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But they have a female lead singer now. She's awesome. The band lives on. So I'm glad to see it. It is one of those cases where if you have the gimmick, a band like that can work at some level. They're not going to Kiss won't be doing the stadiums and the arenas, but I can see them doing, the casino circuits or the small clubs and stuff like that, and still making a good buck.
That's cool.
Yeah. Getting back to someone I know who you have a love-hate relationship with, and again, not so much horror, but that industrial sound, that influence from the Ministry of the 80s, gave us some great bands in the early 90s who had a sound that just changed the scope of music.
Oh, nice.
A couple spanning a few decades here.
Love 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. Trent Reznor, the guy is a creative workhorse.
Yeah, he's a machine. Does video game music, like he does everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, when he writes the albums, it's usually just him. Like it's just Trent.
Yeah, he had a band early on, but then it became a situation where, much like Ministry, where it's Al doing the heavy lifting and then just hires a band to tour with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Recently reunited with all the original members of 9 Inch Nails at a show in Chicago, though, where Ministry played a show I wanted to go to that I'd known about for months.
Holy cow. So they reunited the entire band?
Yeah, for 5 or 6 songs, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I had the list, but not with me.
So it'd be all pretty Hate Machine, everything. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, Pretty Hate Machine. That was a situation where I had heard the Downward Spiral. Obviously, that album blew up. You cannot go anywhere without hearing that album. And I went back, and it's one of those situations where I like Pretty Hate Machine better.
Yeah.
It didn't get the credit that the Downward Spiral did.
No.
Yeah. It happens.
I swapped the tape with a buddy at school when Pretty Hate Machine came out and popped it in my Walkman and walking home. And wow, that's when Pretty Hate Machine first came out, and it blew my mind. Like, I was just like, wow, this is awesome.
No doubt. Yeah. Yeah, oh man, those moments, it's like I said, it's one of those situations where where you were when you heard, like, I know where I was the first time I heard Pantera, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to feel those moments. You can feel the hair kind of on the back of your neck stand up when you hear that first notes and you're like, oh man.
Yeah. I'm not gonna tell the story of how I come to hear White Zombie for the first time, because it may have involved me doing something illegal, and I probably could have used Lobster Shark. But White Zombie came on the scene, kind of again, not until More Human Than Human did they really blow up. About 3 albums in, and that song was it was the song you heard all summer long.
Oh yeah, it was in movies. It was like everywhere.
Yeah, just that opening.
Oh, it's hypnotic, eh?
Yeah. Got to see them with Pantera. Pretty fucking cool. I saw White Zombie 3 times. I wish I would have gotten to see them together more, but I've seen that's my record. My record is 18 times, and that's the Headstones and Rob or White Zombie. I've seen them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
No one puts on a better show in incorporating the horror genre than Rob.
You know what? Rob is just another one of those creative machines, right? He lives and breathes it.
Yeah. I'm probably tipping towards less than 50-50 now on his movies, but musically, everything he puts out is gold for me. Love the guy musically. Yeah. I bought one of these guys' albums probably early 90s. It's just one of those situations where, you know, you'd go to the record store or the CD store at the time and you just flip and, you know, find something, you know, and this is the album that grabbed you, right? The album cover. Yep. And being the horror fan that I was, I saw the album cover for 1991's Butchered at Birth from a little band called Cannibal Corpse, Pride of Buffalo.
Look at the neck on Corpse Grinder, eh?
I know, right? Also featured in Ace Ventura.
Yes, that's right.
They were the band when Ace was going to talk to the fish guy.
Was it them or Napalm?
No, it was Cannibal Corpse.
Is it Cannibal? Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Grinder is the nicest dude ever. You'd never picture it from this photo.
Right.
But he's like the nicest. He's a huge WoW fan, like World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Oh my God. The guy's just like the nicest nerd you'd ever meet in your life.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen them a couple times. Their live shows are impressive. I bought that first album and enjoyed the music. And then, you know, like all of us did back then, you know, you pull out the lyric sheet and I was just like, that's intense even for me.
Like metal, black metal, Cannibal Corpse, like
right. But a lot of you know, the lyrics are graphic, but he's using it as you know, the songs aren't about what they sound like. There's a lot of metaphors in Cannibal Corpse and very deep emotional lyrics for sure.
Yeah. They're a band I always wanted to do a cover for.
Yeah, no doubt.
Cannibal Corpse or Napalm. I always wanted to do that because their covers were so out there and like nasty. Eh?
Do you remember a band called, I didn't have them on this, but a band called Carcass?
Yes.
They used to get Geiger to do a lot of their album covers.
I remember that. Carcass, or I remember Carcass because I had a tape with Carcass on it and Decile, Dead by Dawn.
Okay.
And I used to love all that death metal back in the day. And yeah, I remember Carcass. Yeah. That's awesome.
Right on. Going back across the pond to Scandinavia, this Norwegian symphonic black metal band. When I heard these guys for the first time, I got to tell you, hearing Norwegian black metal infused with the symphony, love it. Absolutely love it. And these guys live shows, they don't, you know, they've never really hit the mainstream. They do play a lot of smaller venues, but I've heard their live shows are second to none. And that's a band called Dimi Borgia.
I don't know them. Wow.
Yeah, check them out. Actually, I'll send you a link after the show because you need to hear these guys, Steve.
I gotta check.
The name actually stands for a volcano formation in Iceland, which means dark cities or dark castle in Old Norse.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to check them out.
Yeah, they're something else.
Because I love Armand Armath, and because I love that Norwegian sound. Eh? And,
you definitely like these guys for sure.
Oh wow! Okay, I got to check them out.
This next guy, I mentioned a band earlier you kind of had a love-hate relationship with. I think it's pretty safe to say you have a hate relationship with this next guy. And that's your buddy.
Oh my God.
But his mark on the world of metal and horror and that blend of two, again, you know, they cannot be denied.
No, like the 90s, he was everywhere. He's a marketing machine. Like,
and his videos were impressive.
Yes, they were. Like Beautiful People and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
But again, the best thing that happened is remember when Beautiful People came out and the church were rallying against him and it was on every news site. And it's like, this is the greatest like news for him ever. You know what I mean? Because his name was just all over the place when that came out. Man.
And contrary to prior belief, it is not Rob Stone from Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, I remember that was going around.
The days before the internet.
I know, right? He's with the cow tongue sewn on and all this. Like, no.
I even saw one today that Josh Saravano, who played Paul on the Wonder Years, people had rumored that he was Marilyn Manson as well.
Really?
I'd never heard that one before.
Me neither. I could kind of see it with his long face and everything.
Yeah. The second I read it, I had the same thought.
Oh man. Yeah. I wish I would have thought of that to start it.
The beautiful people. Yeah, I saw Marilyn once. I saw him at Ozfest at the Docks in Toronto, and again the stage show, impressive. You know, him as a person, not a fan of.
Yeah,
although he has kicked the shit out of a lot of in your face haters.
Yes, which is
he's
good.
A pretty intelligent guy that way.
You know what? In interviews when he was younger, he is incredibly well spoken.
Yeah, he would tear people apart.
Yeah, because I remember journalists would underestimate him and come at him with stupid questions, and he would just rip them apart.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely have to credit him for definitely a lot. Just not his personal life.
I don't know what it is with him now. I don't know if he's on the booze or what's happening, but man.
Yeah, he's had these more recent accusations again too that have surfaced. So it's he's in a world of trouble for sure. Hopefully, you know, from a human to a human, I hope he gets his shit together. But
you know what? Yeah,
got a lot of repairs to do.
I was talking to my son about this. Like, I hope he gets it together. But if I had a Deadpool list, he'd be like, I don't know, pretty high up there. Because I don't know, he'd be like 4 or 5.
Did you have Coolio?
I did not have Coolio. I thought he was dead years ago with that song.
Didn't show up the last show.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Moving on. Again, you know, going back to Detroit, and I find when you get these bands out of these, you know, very hard areas like Birmingham, England, or these towns in Scandinavia or Detroit, you get this very hard mix of you know, emotional, sometimes scary blend of music, and nobody does it better than ICP.
Yeah.
I didn't know that a lot of their stuff was based on the Dark Carnival.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had heard that mentioned in their songs before, because I do listen to a lot of ICP, but I've never really delved into their lore or their background or their origin stories. So
No, neither did I. I have a cousin who's like sees them every time he can.
he's a juggalo.
Oh yeah, yeah. He has like the chain with the symbol on it.
Does he have the tattoo?
I think so. Yeah, like he's really hardcore, and I always considered them like a joke band, so I always like ragged on them all the time. Every time I saw them,
I never really ragged on them, but I just kind of thought the same thing. Just thought, I mean, you know, not for me. But as I started listening to them, I really got into them, and I'm definitely a big fan.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff, and I like them a lot for sure. I definitely need to get to a gathering of the Juggalos.
We're going to the Halloween one.
The Detroit one for Halloween would be the for sure.
Yes.
That would be insane.
They're playing at Harpo's in Detroit, which is a legendary club for metal bands and hardcore music.
Isn't there another band that's almost identical to them from Detroit too?
Yeah, and you did some work for them, did you not?
Yeah, I submitted art for them. I don't know if they ever produced it. They Twisted. That's them. That was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I did artwork, and I never heard back. So I don't know.
Twisted was one of those bands that also came out of Detroit. They also consider themselves horrorcore, which is what ICP is.
Yeah.
They actually signed to Psychopathic Records, which was ICP's label that they created. They've recently left and started their own label. Thought I had it written down here. But yeah, same kind of genre, hip hop, metal, horror, very, very horror infused. Very cool guys.
That's cool.
Yeah. This next band, I had to try and mention someone newer. I had to try and find something that I thought maybe the kids were listening to. And I checked out a couple of tracks of these guys because upon reading about them, I'd heard of them. I didn't realize that they were horrorcore as well, or where is it? What do they describe themselves as? Started as a ska punk, like SKA.
Ska? They were ska.
They started.
That's kind of like what Rancid is and all that. And
okay. I'm familiar with Rancid. Yeah.
Yeah, they had ska came from Jamaica as well too, but they kind of picked up into that. It all has that certain rhythm that the ska guys play.
Okay, so they started as a ska punk band out of Boston, and quickly turned their sound to metalcore / horror punk. But after listening to it, I'd say it's horror punk light.
Oh, really?
Ice Nine Kills definitely infuses a lot of the horror elements into their music, but after listening to a couple songs, not for me.
Yeah, you know what? They're wearing all the masks and all the garb and such, but they still look all pretty and everything. They should be much grungier and nastier. You know what I mean? They look like a boy band who's dressed up in those costumes there.
And I really thought with the ska punk or just the punk roots period that I thought they'd be a little more hard, but it seemed very poppy to me, or punk light.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Don't like
Steve, I'm going to let you talk about these next guys, because I know I probably don't know a bigger fan than you for these next guys.
Oh yeah, Slipknot, yeah, wow. Even my son's been bitten by the Slipknot bug, and he's shredding Mick and James's stuff almost every night now.
Yeah, I remember when Iowa came out.
Oh man, that was nuts. I wish they'd go back to the first album in Iowa again. I know they don't want to go back to Iowa because that was a bad stage for them, but wow, there's some anger there.
Yeah.
Love Slipknot.
Another band. No, go ahead.
Yeah, tomorrow drops another album of theirs.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're going to have two. So, tomorrow's the first one. And then I don't know when the next one drops.
Yeah, that was a band that I also saw on that Marilyn Manson Ozfest lineup. They played earlier in the day. They were kind of new at the time. This was 99 or 2000, I think.
Oh,
so
wow.
They played earlier in the day, and just the outdoor venue, the sound, it wasn't great. I don't feel that that's a great show for me to judge them on, but they did not sound great.
Did they have the white jumpsuits back then, or?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Because that was pretty early for them. That would have been the first album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you like them now? Would you listen to them now?
I really don't know a lot of their music, other than that one song that got a lot of radio play for them early.
Oh, Wait and Bleed?
Yeah. I kind of associated them with that, and I know that that's not really what they're about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you definitely need to give me a top 5 to check out, so I can maybe gauge them a little better.
Okay, consider it done. That's cool.
This band was kind of in a feud with Slipknot for quite a while. This band was out of Cleveland, and they shared
Mushroom Head.
they shared a very similar look with the masks, and then that whole the multiplicity of their members, and they were kind of new metal alt, with a very heavy industrial influence. Another one that I really never heard before, consider themselves doom metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Their early stuff wasn't too bad. That lead singer has more of that 80s operatic voice. Yeah.
I listened to some of their stuff today, and I really liked it.
Oh yeah, you like Mushroom Head? Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They've since ended their feud with Slipknot and actually become pretty good friends. So
really,
yeah.
I didn't think that was going to end or not end well.
It was the whole who did it first thing, right? and obviously Slipknot got way more acclaim. So
Yeah, I think Clown and Joey started the whole thing.
And then that brings us to today. I don't think there's a band out there who brings that horror or dark, very emotional. If you actually translate their music from German to English and read the lyrics and listen to what these songs are about, no one is doing it better right now than Till Lindemann and Rammstein.
For sure, 100%.
I'm still riding the high of seeing these guys in Montreal. Was simply one of the greatest live shows I've ever seen in my life, and I just, oh my god!
I know the photos you sent.
Nope. Whoops.
Oh, there's Papa.
Whoops. Sorry, Ghost. Yeah.
Like, look at that, man.
Rammstein, just unbelievable. One particular song which you need to check out. I'm going to share that. I'm going to give you this song to listen to after Puppet, which basically this song is about. It's told first person from a little boy who lives with his sister in a not so great neighborhood, and the sister supports them by being a prostitute in the next room. And man, you want to talk about feeling the music. Till Lindeman's voice is just, that's what I mean. Like you can I just read an article. They just wrapped up a couple shows at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, the oldest stadium in North America.
Yeah.
These guys sold out 3 shows there, I think. 2 for sure. For a band that sings in a completely foreign language to even tour at the size that they have across North America from Montreal to Los Angeles. Now they're headed down to Mexico. Like that accomplishment, I think, is lost on a lot of people.
I know. And with no radio play, like they have no support.
Yeah. Like I said, even the songs I didn't know, you could feel the voice. You could feel his voice. You could feel the emotion that he felt when he wrote these lyrics. It is that powerful.
Yeah, you got to send me that. Is that off a new album?
It's I think it's a fairly newer song. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is dark. It is dark.
Man.
They basically, the chorus is I translate you into English. It's and then I rip off the doll's head.
Wow.
Yeah. And just it's the anger and the emotion and the trauma, and oh my God.
Man, they really go there, eh?
They do. They really do. And they bring it, like I said, with their live show.
Look at that. That's crazy.
Someone else who's fairly new and making a name for himself lately, as I kind of accidentally previewed there, is Ghost. Not a huge fan.
I liked them up till Square Hammer. I liked the fact that they were still culty and like there was a small group of us, and you know what I mean? Like it was still dark. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Tobias Forge, who's also Papa, just wanted to go to that next level, and it became pop. And it's the drizzle and shits now.
And that's unfortunately when I came to know them, because I wasn't one of those early, like you said, that's how I felt about Pantera in the early days. Like they were my band, Yeah. They didn't get the radio play. They didn't, and then to come out and debut at #1 with Far Beyond Driven. Yeah. Never been done before. Hasn't been done since.
That's crazy, eh?
Like crazy.
And once again, no radio play. Like, none. Damn.
But I've heard his live shows are impressive, and I haven't heard a large body of his work. So again, not a fair judgment on my part, but like I said, you saying a lot of the early stuff was good. So
I really like the early Ghost. I jumped on. I was lucky enough. I was doing art for a magazine about 8 years ago, maybe even 9. And they said, okay, can you do a cover of this band Ghost? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they sent me a whole bunch of music of theirs and like everything. And I was drawing it up, and boom, it just hit me. Like, I was like, wow, who are these guys? And it was really good.
Oh, that's cool. And that's it, man. That's my history of horror and metal as I saw it.
That's awesome.
Again, if you have any bands that we maybe missed or didn't mention, we're going to do some news real quick here. So you got a few minutes to get them out to us. And we're just going to jump right in. This came out this week, and I flew through it. This case happened when I was in high school. It was in all the news. I remember reading the book. I was one of those kids that got obsessed with serial killers and had there's such an interesting mind.
Yes.
If you want to know how they got to where they got to, because you cannot, as the person we cannot fathom doing this to human beings. And they do it with such callousness.
Yeah, it's like they have zero remorse, the psychopath or even the sociopath. There's no remorse.
I know Dahmer, the Netflix series, has taken a lot of heat from victims and the victims' families.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to relive that, man.
Yeah, a lot of it is very, very accurate. I'd say it's 85 to 90% accurate, which makes it even more disturbing. That first episode was hard to get through.
I watched the first one. Wow.
It was hard to get through because it was so accurate.
It was brutal, eh?
Yeah.
Usually I have it on in the background while I'm drawing, but I kept doing this and I got less and less drawing done. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this.
Yeah. Nothing I had on my news, but just talking about the heaviness of watching something like this. I started watching last night. It's a short docu-series, I think 4 episodes. I watched the first 2. It's called 11 Minutes, and it's about the Vegas shooting, the Jason Aldean concert.
Yeah.
Talk about heavy.
That'd be brutal, man.
I watched the first episode, and usually I blow through documentaries. I watched the first episodes, and I was like, okay, I need a break.
Really?
Yeah.
It was that heavy, eh?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Pretty excited about this one. I think Steve is too. Big fans of the original movie. As long as it's done right, HBO Max is bringing us Scanners.
Oh man, you're right. It's exactly what you said. If it's done right, this could be awesome.
I always wondered how they got away with it for so long, as long as they did. Some of them were very intelligent, but some seemed like they were obsessed weirdos. Yeah, and it's a fine line sometimes between these guys that are like Edward Kemper, who is just so intelligent and worked with the FBI and actually helped develop profiling for these guys. Like Jeffrey, at least to some extent, I remember reading a lot that he wanted to get caught. Like he was done, like he knew it was wrong. And
which is odd for that personality, right? Like to be some sort of empathy there, which is not.
I'm very torn on how I feel about Jeffrey Dahmer, but Edward Kemper, like the guy was just.
He was a robot. He was like a killing machine.
But he had such a intellectual, beautiful mind.
Yes. But like you said, he's like that super intelligent, but he also has that zero empathy.
Yeah, which is dangerous.
Same with Bundy. They said Bundy was above average intelligence.
Yeah.
And the only reason they even caught him is because he was driving with his headlights out.
And again, he, just his denial of his, guilt right up to the very end. I'm very torn on Bundy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Kemper was like, yeah, I did it. Yeah. Here's how I can help you catch other freaks like me.
Yeah. He had zero remorse, zero. It was crazy.
Yeah. I watched something crazy this week. I can't say my expectations were very high, unfortunately, and I didn't get much out of it. Had I not been doing this for the purposes of reviewing it, and we won't get too deep into it because Steve hasn't watched it yet, and I'd like to, I'd like for us to talk about it together on a future episode. So if I wasn't reviewing this, I would have shut it off after 10 minutes.
No way.
But again, there's still that curiosity of where's this going to go?
I want to go into this liking this. I really do. I love Rob Zombie stuff, but I've been so scared to go into this.
So what I will talk about is it's an origin story. It starts with a very Dr. Frankenstein moment in Herman. And then his kind of coming to be, meeting Lily and them getting together, and then eventually moving into the house that we know and love from the original series.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went origin story, and for me, and I'm so sorry that I have to out you publicly, in my opinion, but it was a fucking hot mess. I literally laughed. I think I went, maybe twice, and laughed once. And the laugh was, so you say, how are they working out? Did you hear about the new glass coffins?
How are they working out?
Remains to be seen.
Ah.
So that's the level of humor you're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's dad jokes. That's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I get what he was going for, and I understand he was trying to be faithful and pay homage and kind of capture that campiness and humor, but it just failed on so many levels. And again, starred Sherry Moon Zombie. So moving on. We got only a couple weeks left until Halloween ends. I personally haven't been. I went to closing of the Canview Drive-In this year. I didn't make it to the drive-in at all. I was hoping to make it out to the Starlight, but I didn't. I haven't been to the movies in quite some time. I don't know about you, Steve. What was the last movie you saw?
Oh my goodness. I'm watching them at home now. Wow. What was the last one I was in the theater seeing? I can't even think of it.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but it's like I said, it would have been one summer ago when that period where the drive-in was still open. We were still under kind of somewhat protocols, but it was the drive-in. Like, of all places that should have been open, is the drive-in. Like, hello. Yeah. Social distancing, but I don't know for sure. But do you have any strong desire to want to go see this in the theater?
I do. I'm a big sucker for Halloween.
Yeah,
I liked Halloween Kills. I could have done without Tonight Evil Dies all like tons and tons of times. Say it once or twice is good, but then like they kind of drag that out. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I love the opening with the fireman scene and everything, and that was crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well, and I'm definitely. I think this is the one that's probably gonna make me get out and get back to the theater for sure.
Me too. Oh, and Loomis, didn't they do a good job with Loomis?
They did. They really
that
did.
Was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. A movie that my girlfriend, probably her most hated movie, because it scared the bejesus out of her. I just turned you on to what the real story was about this, and you kind of dived into the Keddy murders, and that was a movie called The Strangers. What did you think of the Keddy? What did you think of the movie before you knew about the Keddy murders?
I really liked it because the creepy factor was they were just humans who were loving, torturing, and killing people. You know what I mean? Like they weren't some supernatural being or anything like that. And we can relate with the fact that a human monster killing someone, right?
Right.
But then when you told me about those murders and I listened to a few docs, that just made it even creepier.
Oh. Yeah.
Wow. And the fact that they still haven't caught whom, like if it was one person or two, like, wow. And it was violent. Like the stabs went through the people into the floor. Like, could you imagine? Just, wow. That was crazy.
Yeah. This is being turned into a trilogy. I don't know how far removed from the Keddy murder story this one's going to be, because that one was quite a bit removed. It basically took the base story and kind of, created their own, but it worked on so many levels, and I'm interested to see where this trilogy goes, because the second one didn't do so well.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I liked it. The trio were back and wreaking havoc on that family, and I liked it. I like the idea of being isolated, you know what I mean? And it's pretty scary because you put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are, man. We can still all be afraid of the dark.
Yep. No. We've all been in the cabin at night with, you know what I mean? Like, or camping or whatever. So you can put yourself there.
Yeah. A movie I watched a while back and then found out they actually filmed this movie at the same time with the purposes of releasing it very quickly after X. Pearl, the prequel to X, is coming out. Actually, it's out. It's already made $7.5 million on a $1 million budget. So
Wow.
doing well already on opening weekend. X was, oh man, like I didn't want to share too much with you because I know you had high hopes for this one, and we both really loved the trailer.
Yeah,
it's a movie that there's so many things about it I loved, but I honestly still don't really know where I have to give it a second viewing because I still don't really know where I stand on it. But it definitely makes me interested to see the prequel Pearl as well as the sequel, which is filming right now called Maxine with 3 X's.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, Ty West is just cranking them out, eh?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when they put out Pearl, I wondered if they filmed it all at the same time and then just released that chunk. And
yeah, X and Pearl were filmed at the same time. Yeah, and the entire story, including the sequel, Maxine, was all written as one story. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Pretty stoked to see Pearl. So
yeah, I want to see that bad.
Trailers came out, and Chucky season 2 is going to be out soon. I mean, I'll watch it because I'm just a sucker for, I need something to watch kind of thing. What can I say? I spend a lot of time at home. I work outside. I never want to go outside once I get home.
I'm with you. I don't like going outside. I'm like a mole man.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out. You watched the first season?
Yeah. I'm done. I punched my card. I'm tapping out after the first season.
I'm gonna give this season my 3-episode rule. It's got 3 episodes to bring me back, and if not, I'm out.
I did that with the new Lord of the Rings, and I'm done.
It's been people have been tearing it apart, eh?
You know what? There's some cool characters in it, but then I don't know. Some of the other characters are written like for like 2-year-olds, and like the magic that Peter Jackson brought is not in this one. Like it's just there's no magic in it.
If you're looking for something horror related this Christmas, look no further. David Harbour is coming in Violent Night. This is the story of some mercs that bust into this family compound. Obviously, I'm sure it's probably some kind of wealthy family or something like that involved. But they didn't count on Santa being there.
Oh, God. How do these scripts like get across? You know what I mean? Like, how does this get made?
I know. And there's way worse movies than that think get made because this will probably be somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You and I both loved Doctor. We're both huge Shining fans. We both loved Dr. Sleep. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan wanted to go right from Dr. Sleep right in to a Dick Halloran prequel.
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
And it got axed.
Wonder why.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't think Dr. Sleep financially did as well as they had hoped it was going to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, critically and since it's got a great score on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's gained a lot of traction since its release.
I loved it. It stayed so close to the book. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that get picked up again, like Halloran, like his stories. Could you imagine?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely interested in seeing that.
Yes, if they start that again, that would be great.
All right, that's all I got for the news, man. And my Bengals are playing tonight.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to pull even at 2-2. So
nice.
If you got anything else?
I'm good, man.
All right.
Not much going on.
Yeah. Well, Frightmare in the Falls is coming up. If you're in the Niagara area, the greater New York area, the GTA, come to Frightmare. You can hop over the border with nothing now. Come to Frightmare. Check out Steve's table. He's got some great stuff. Pick up a copy of The Harvester. Are you going to have copies of Terrifier there?
Oh, yeah. I even have sketch covers of Terrifier now, too. So
yeah, check out Steve's table. Check out Frightmare in the Falls. It's Canada's biggest horror con.
It's a great show.
It's going to be a good time. And again, if you're in the area, the areas I mentioned, please come out to the Welland Zombie Lock this Saturday. Brampton Batman, the 89 Batmobile, Knight Rider, and Toadstool and the Ghouls playing one night only with special guest Scotty Cooper. It's going to be fun. You're not going to want to miss it. And that's it. Thanks to our sponsor, of course, Lobster Shark, Attorney at Law. Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
Lobster Shark, Attorney at Law.
That's right, people. Lobster Shark. Cover deep. Oh God, no! Don't talk about the game, Kurt. Don't talk about the game. I'm behind. I'm not watching. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Lobster Shark. Just thanks to everybody, especially this guy. He is the gift that just keeps giving. For Steve McGinnis, I'm the Welland Wingnut, aka the Metal Mennonite, and thanks for joining us. This has been another episode of Two Severed Heads.